So yeah, all of that is going on with me. Thank you, all of you. Pagani says it's my kind of talking. I believe, sir. I believe. Listen, tonight I want to talk to you about something that actually is book worthy, and it's book worthy right now because of the, okay, how do we say this? The recent oversaturation of what many people are calling full-time ministry, and I had to say that with air quotations because I don't believe that you can be a Christian and have anything you do be excluded from full-time ministry. My belief is that if you are a believer the Bible way, everything you do is full-time ministry, whether it's love your husbands or your wives or teach your children or sell cars. If you do everything you do is unto the Lord, then I really believe that everything you do is full-time ministry. I don't know why people are so eager to quit their jobs to go and preach and to force people to pay for average and mediocre preaching and call that full-time, and then a lot of people act like they're having a job is distracting them from being able to effectively serve the Lord. So people don't want to go to school. People don't want to be quality. People don't want to develop professionalism. All they want to do is develop notes, find a microphone, and then a group of people that want to pay for that step. So I think that if you're a believer, everything you do is full-time ministry, my opinion. In fact, I think that there are many people who are in the pulpits that actually need to go and get a job. People that have started churches that need to go and get jobs. I think that you should not strain communities of local churches to pay for the thing you're still trying to perfect. Anyway, that's not why I'm here for that. Here's why I'm here. I am here because I want to talk to you and caution you about the very easy snare of ministry idolatry, the worship of ministry, the worship of ministry. I am a minister. I am in full-time ministry. I also have experience as a professional. I worked professionally, a real job, 9 to 5, retirement, etc., until I decided to go full-time with my church. But even now, I'm not opposed to a future in professionalism. So that's very important for you to get so you can understand my purview. So I understand all sides of the spectrum. What I don't want anybody that I teach, anybody that I mentor, anybody that I develop with a ministry call is for them to have more energy. Pay attention to this. In doing the work of the Lord than they do knowing the Lord of the work. I have a problem, and I think God has a problem with this influx of preacher, elder, senior prophet, master prophet, evangelist, empowerment coach, prayer leader, prayer line, first lady, success coach, church planner, all of these people with these ministry callings and designations who are so heavily occupied with doing the work of the ministry that they don't know God. Now, here is the premise is that you are falling into ministry idolatry when your public service is estranged from your private devotion. And you should never be more committed to being efficient, effective, consistent, and more excited about what you get to do for God on a platform. And that's any platform, whether it's a desk, an office, a chair, a mic, an organ, whatever platform, then you are about making sure that your personal walk with God is up to date. In fact, quality ministry flows from people who actually know the God that they're actually attempting to serve. So I'm concerned about ministry idolatry and people who live for the hustle and the bustle of the ministry scene. For this cause, I don't really fit in a lot of segments and circles, and I'm actually excited about it because preacher talk doesn't excite me. How you doing, Doc? What you're doing? And most of them have no school beyond high school under their belt, but everything is Doc. How you doing, Doc? How many you averaging, Doc? Or he showed did close that, Doc? Or you showed squall, Doc? Or he got a mean hoop, Doc? And he got that blah 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 blah. And what I find is that there are people who are so invested in all of that foolishness. But if you talk to them about more sincere issues, like when the last time they actually spent quality time in prayer, what their personal worship life is like, what they're studying in the Bible that they're not studying to preach to an audience, what issues they are pursuing freedom from in their personal heart towards the Lord. It's a real problem. And the scriptures substantiate that you can be very active in ministry and still not be known by God. It's very apparent. The Bible talks about how many would say in that day, Lord, Lord, did not we cast out devils in your name? Did not we prophesy in your name? So clearly, these are people that Jesus is referring to that are in ministry. They have ministry calls. Many of them, I imagine, would have websites. They would have adjutants or whatever you call them. You know, in many circles, that ain't nothing but a glorified butler. There is no impartation. Armor bearers, support staff. They got personal people, all of that stuff. And I believe in honor. I believe in service. But I have a problem with people who have all of that, ministers who have all of that, and they have no real provable, traceable, trackable relationship with the Lord. And that's a problem. I am more concerned as a ministry gift about how disciplined you are in your personal devotion and how well you know God than how well you preach for him, speak for him, sing for him, dance for him, tap dance for him, twirl for him, prayer line for him, water for him, blah, 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 blah. I have known people who they live for the photo op. They live to be able to take the selfie. I met, they are living for the moment when they want to go from church to church and preach to, conference to conference, network, rub shoulders, brown nose, flattery here. But I'm concerned about how many people are ministering for a Jesus they refuse to know. And so this is about ministry idolatry and the very real issue that we have today, that there's a lot of spokespeople who don't know the God that they call themselves representing. Even far more monstrous are those that are passionately proclaiming a word that they are reading, but they can't hear the words from the mouth of the author of the one that they're reading because they have very little revelation of Jesus. They don't spend time with him. They don't meditate on him. They don't know him. They just ordained, got a collar, got somebody to carry their water, and there goes ministry. But in the absence of power, the absence of authority is not because there is an absence of Greek and Hebrew. It's because there's an absence of men who are filled with the Spirit of God because they spend time with him. Their revelations are not rumors. They have not been researched by other people, etc., etc. It is things that they have heard from the Spirit of God, from his mouth, because they spent quality time with him. There's a lot of preachers watching me right now that are busy doing a whole bunch of nothing, texting, tweeting, picturing, and they have no real personal walk or fellowship or communion with the Spirit of grace. They spend more time on Facebook than his book. They have no real disciplined journey. And when they are in the scriptures, it's only to stay up to date with what needs to be said to impress you. So this is why there's no weight, there's no authority, there's no power to bring real deliverance, is because they are estranged from the deliverer. So this is the word that the Bible says Jesus has for those that work for God and don't spend time knowing him. Depart from me. Isn't it nice to know? There is no parole program when it comes to the Spirit of God, and you don't get to go AWOL when it comes to your personal walk with God and have your excuse be you were preparing to preach and you were preparing to teach and you were preparing your prayer shawl and you were preparing your garments and you were preparing all of that. Many of you are bound with a serious issue of ministry idolatry, a serious issue of ministry worship. I just love the ministry. I love it. I love knowing people. I love being known by people. I love exchanging business cards. I love saying we are sisters in the spirit or brothers in the pulpit and all that stuff. And they have no real... and listen, if you challenge many of them on it, they'll get offended. They'll get personally upset that you dare assume that they need to go deeper in their personal walk because of what they are able to do when they are on the stage. But here's the problem. When you take the stage and you take the microphone away, a man man is the measure of his prayer life. If you want to find out what a real man is, look at what he is able to achieve in the place of prayer. It doesn't matter how hard you preach, how hard you sing, how hard you hold your ear. The measure of a man is found in his prayer life. So I'm concerned about ministry idolatry and the young preachers that we are breeding that are so excited about preaching to God's people and don't know how to spend time in God's presence. They get awkward when the glory of God is in the room. When people are bowing and crying and weeping, they are sitting down, licking their fingers, thumbing through scriptures that they probably should have been thumbing through all week, Or when praise and worship is going on in the sanctuary, they are cooped up in their office doing meetings that they probably could have done because, again, they are in full-time ministry Saturday or through the week. And while we're in worship, bowing, getting ready for the word that you're going to minister to us, you're actually not in the environment with us because you're down there sipping tea and sipping coffee. And when you get in, because you've not been in the environment, you get to change it and alter it to be what you want it to be because you wasn't there. Or you thought that God didn't get there until you got there. It's idolatry. So we need to pray that this pompous, arrogant, self-worshiping spirit, the same thing that was in Leviathan, be brought down out of America's preachers, because for this reason, there's no power on preaching. It's because there's no presence in the person that is the carrier of the principle. So you got to really realize this. As a leader, in a church, you are the chief worship leader. You are the chief intercessor. You are the chief person that's supposed to demonstrate a life pleasing before the Lord. So take off the cape and the collar and bow, worship, be a part of the praise and worship. Don't wait for the magic moment for you to make your grand appearance. Show your people what praise and worship look like. And if you don't, you can't be mad when spirits of perversion and religion hijack your praise and worship because the priest wasn't there to monitor the traffic that was going therein. So if you do that, you either have a very powerful religious demon or you just have ministry idolatry. You like being in ministry, but you're still struggling to get to know God. So I don't want us to assume that everybody that's in ministry knows God the way they want to or the way they need to. Some of them know his ways because they have access to his word, but all of that's still different from knowing him. And Jesus said, I'll say to many in that day, depart from me. I refuse to allow that to be what's said to me. I never want to hear God say, depart from me. I never knew you. I think it's ironic that he doesn't say, depart from me. I wasn't pleased with your service, or depart from me. You didn't work for me. Because there's a lot of people working for him, serving him, and still struggling to know him. A man, the measure of a man can be found in his devotional life. So I'm encouraging you, make quality time for you and God, especially if you got the unmitigated gall to tell people you're in ministry. Make time for God every day. Spend time in his presence. Study the Bible for the transforming of your mind and your heart, not just to figure out what to say to the people that are in front of you so you can impress them with your poems and your riddles and your rhymes and your scriptural coincidences that you get to loop together and act like it was revealed to you by the mind of Christ. No, that's not what we need. We need men who know the God that they're preaching about and speaking for. It's actually highly criminal to purport to be speaking for somebody that you still don't even know. You can't even be an effective attorney and defend a case for a client that you have yet to actually meet. So this is my concern. This is my burden tonight. We need to make sure that we're not breeding people who worship platforms and worship microphones and love opportunity, but don't like devotion, have no desire for his presence, and are not growing in the secret place. That's my word for you tonight. Refuse to be somebody bound with ministry idolatry, full of infatuation and all of that stuff, but somebody that really is committed to loving the Lord and spending time with him and eating his word and drinking deeply of his presence. All right. So I'm on my way out of here. I got to go. I will see you guys soon, but I just want to leave you with this burden. Don't let Jesus say to you, depart from me. We've got to come against and speak out this thing of ministry idolatry to make sure that people have a real walk with God, especially if they're going to represent him. All right. Love you guys. Talk to you soon. God bless.